Before anything, I am a huge fan of the original animated Disney film. In fact, it is my favorite animated film of the studio of all time. I love it. The charming and lovable characters, the groundbreaking animation, the catchy songs, the show-stopping musical numbers, the message. It is just perfect. It is an extremely well-crafted movie that hits every single note. It is just 84 minutes long, so it knows what it wants to do and it doesn't waste a single second to do it. Everything contributes to the theme of the film, developing the characters or creating an enchanting and captivating world. The character design is amazing, the camera movements are very inspired, which is something weird to say about a 2D animated film, but it is true. Of course, the ballroom scene is a great example of this, as they combined traditional animation with a 3D environment, which was revolutionary at that time. It was the first animated film to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. It is just amazing. Regardless of how you feel about the film, you can't deny its huge success. So, having said all that, why would you remake such an iconic and beloved feature film? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple: money. With each live action remake making tons of money, and especially after Alice in Wonderland made over $1 billion, of course they kept making them. But there was a difference here. Up until that point, they only remade old films from the 1960s and the 1950s. You could argue there was room for improvement, which let the filmmakers have some liberty when it came to adapting these stories. Alice in Wonderland was a sequel of the original, with a feminist twist and a chosen one type of story. Maleficent told the story from the villain's perspective, offering a completely new take on the old fairy tale. Cinderella, even though it was extremely loyal to an animated film, it tried to give a backstory to the villain while changing the protagonist's attitude and her relationship with the prince. And The Jungle Book combined story elements from both the book and the animated feature film. Okay, many of these changes don't work and the movies aren't as good as the original, but I personally appreciate all the risks they took. With Beauty and the Beast, I was open to a new interpretation of this timeless story, with new characters or a different take on old ones, especially because the 1991 film isn't the only adaptation that has been made in the past. I saw it as an exciting opportunity and frankly, I wanted them to experiment and try new things, and then we got this. I know they added new things, but they are so irrelevant and pointless for the overall story that it honestly pisses me off. It's like they wanted a happy medium between changing everything and doing a shot-by-shot remake of the animated film. Then, it resulted in something that was too familiar and felt extremely unsatisfying. While watching the film, I was bored and deeply frustrated. There was nothing new for me to discover, and I felt like I was watching a weak copy of the original. But here's the thing. If I wanted to watch Beauty and the Beast, I would just watch the 1991 adaptation, and I would have a much better experience. The 2017 film is full of problems and flaws, from the cast to the script, and I realize there have been many video essays addressing this topic, so what I'm gonna do is, instead of criticizing the movie for 20 minutes, which I could totally do, I will expose some ideas and propose changes that could have been made to have something new and exciting. This is my personal opinion, so I don't expect everyone to agree with me. I'm aware that everything I say is not perfect. I may be wrong about some things. Again, this is my opinion. So feel free to disagree with me in the comment section. Visually, this film has a lot of problems. It is very pretty, but its visuals do not enhance the storytelling. It's like the director of the film didn't get the original animated classic. Every little detail is off. For example, in the animated film, during the Belle song, Belle was the only character that was dressed in blue, said by the filmmakers to be a hint of her personality. It was used to make her visually stand out from the rest, to showcase how different and unique Belle is. Opposite to her, Gaston was dressed in red to contrast with her honest and kind personality. In the live-action movie, everyone wears the same type of clothes. Sure, very pretty clothes, but they wash out Belle and now she doesn't stand out at all. When the camera zooms out, you just see a bunch of people walking and it's just very confusing. Same with Gaston. His clothes have touches of red, but they don't go all the way, losing his visual distinction as a character. Then, Belle's home in the new version is in the middle of the town, instead of being outside it, again, showing how she is an outsider. It may seem like I am being nitpicky, but really, all these details contributed in creating Belle's character, visually displaying her personality and social status. When you get rid of all these things, it tones down the character, and in terms of visuals, it makes the film extremely shallow. The same thing happens with the Beast. In the animated movie, the Beast started wearing red clothes, connecting him to Gaston's aggressiveness and selfishness as a character. Then, throughout the film, as he falls in love with Belle and leaves his arrogance behind, his clothes are purple, which foreshadows his transition as a character. In fact, once he realizes his mistakes and changes for the best, he starts to wear blue, which connects him to Belle and creates a beautiful and compelling character arc. However, in the live-action film, he just wears this. No color at all. And then, he wears the blue clothes in the ballroom scene because it was in the original and they wanted to replicate the iconic scene. But here's the main problem with this movie. They try to copy the most important scenes, but it doesn't feel earned because there's no build-up, especially in terms of visuals. That's why I feel like they didn't get the original film. So, obviously, the first thing I would do would be to fix all these errors and pay more attention to the visual storytelling. I would use color to display all the characters' personality and character arc. It doesn't have to be exactly like the animated movie, but I would appreciate it if the film would operate in different levels. For example, during the Belle song, she has to be the only one dressed as blue, no question about it. What they could have done was to dress Agatha in purple, now that she is a crucial character. It is being said many times that she is lonely and different, so show it to me. Why not visually differentiate her from the rest? It would make her an outcast, just like Belle, and it would also be a visual clue for the audience that she will be an important character. Furthermore, purple is known for being the result of the combination between blue and red, which would cleverly foreshadow she is the cause of the union between Belle and the Beast, who dress in blue and red respectively at the beginning of the film. Also, in the past, purple was the color of the Roman aristocracy, used as a symbol of power, and, of course, Agatha is an extremely powerful being. This color would foreshadow her personality and significance as a character. Regarding Gaston, there could have been made more changes as well. In the new movie, he is more menacing, as he tries to kill Maurice, so why not make his clothes get darker and darker as he gets more violent? He could start with the same red as the original and end up with a garnet red reminiscent of blood. Really, the possibilities are endless. Something could have been done with LeFou's and Maurice's clothes as well. In my opinion, the costume designers should have been focused on the way each color impacts the perception of a character and its symbolization, instead of creating pretty clothes. In terms of visuals, I have another huge complaint: the use of visual effects, which are, for the most part, poorly done. This movie is a CGI extravaganza and they could have done many things with practical effects, as even back in 2017, the visual effects looked dated. The character design is off, especially with characters such as Mrs. Potts and the Beast. Personally, I thought Lumiere was very well done. I liked his design and I thought he translated pretty well in live action. Regarding the other characters, the filmmakers admitted having many problems with Mrs. Potts, which should have been a clue for them that the first movie was animated for a reason. In animation, characters can squash and stretch, mainly because it doesn't have to be realistic, which gives the animators more freedom. If you make a live-action movie, you can't do that. Lumiere turned out great, but that's because they reimagined him as a little man, something they couldn't do with all the other characters. So why not change some of the characters? If they had so many problems with Mrs. Potts, why not make her a different object? I know some people would have been upset, but come on. I think it would have been okay to introduce a new character that worked better with the world they created, instead of introducing Mrs. Potts as a perturbing and weird-looking teapot. As to the Beast, I am 100% sure it would have been better if they combined practical and visual effects. Nowadays, practical effects have gone really far, and it is amazing what they can do with them. Take The Shape of Water, for example. That fish looks amazing, and you believe it exists in the movie's story world. You believe its interaction with a human character. On the other side, in the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast, you never believe for a single second that creature exists in the same space as Emma Watson. Sometimes it even looks like it's floating. It's just not good. I would have used practical effects and then improved them a little bit with CGI, which would have helped the movie a lot. Especially because the Beast's design was a huge complaint for many people. Let's start with Belle, which in my opinion is the most inconsistent character in the film. When Disney announced the casting of the film, I was very excited, especially with Emma Watson as Belle. I was a huge fan of her, as I had been watching Harry Potter since I was a kid, and I thought she was a very good actress. Moreover, I knew she would have many ideas of her own and that she would add a lot to the role. And she did, but I don't think it quite worked out. In the animated film, Belle was created in response of Ariel. Many people heavily criticized The Little Mermaid and complained about her motivation as a character. Then, Belle was written as an independent and knowledgeable character that wants to learn about the world and refuses to marry Gaston. It was almost the antithesis of Ariel. Back in 1991, she already was a feminist character, but Emma Watson decided to turn it into an 11, almost at the expense of the character. When you see the animated counterpart, she's warm and kind, but when you see Emma Watson, she comes across as someone who has no emotion. She always looks like she's tired and bored. Just look at her walking gracefully through the streets, and then look at her. I just don't see Belle. I see Emma Watson walking through the set. But not everything is bad. She does a very good job in the scene where the beast is dying. I truly believed her pain and her acting was top notch. I just think she needed a better support from the director and some guidance to truly become Belle. And again, it's the little things what doesn't work with the character. The changes they did were all to build up Belle as an independent woman, but they do it at the expense of the story. They are extremely inconsistent with the things they add, and in result they damage the characters. But what is the most frustrating thing is that when the movie introduces a good idea, it doesn't go anywhere and the message is often too on the nose. For example, the scene where Belle teaches a girl to read could have been much more subtle and powerful. Instead of having her do it in the middle of the town and everyone reacting negatively, I would have had her roaring the streets and going in a small alley, hiding from everyone, and there secretly teaching little girls to read. That way, we would have gotten the idea that what she's doing is not accepted by society and that she has very strong ideals and decides to go against what is established. In addition to this, I would have also changed the end of the film. In fact, I got the idea from Emma Watson herself, who said in an interview she always imagined Belle's life after the wedding, with her opening the doors of the castle and creating a public library. And that's a great idea, it's amazing. She may be a little bit aggressive in some aspects, but she often has very compelling ideas, and that's one of them for sure. So to be honest, I would have made that the end of the film, and it would have worked out perfectly within the story. I love the idea of her sharing her passion with others while inspiring the new generations. She could have even created a school for boys and girls, teaching her values and learnings. That way, feminism could have been conveyed way better, showing how it is about inclusion and equality. They also introduce many elements that don't have any payoff whatsoever and don't add anything new to a character. For example, in this film, Belle is an inventor instead of Maurice. Now he just sings? In the animated film, him being an inventor was the reason why he had to go to a fair. It was the only hope for them to have a better life. Now he just goes to a market because he wants to? Moreover, in the original, it later had a payoff, when Belle used his invention to escape and return with the beast. Her being an inventor doesn't give the audience more information about the character, as we already know she is clever and resourceful. But the worst thing is that they don't utilize it. I would have taken the fact that she is now the inventor if it changed the story somehow, but that wasn't the case. They completely forget about it. She could have been inventing devices that helped the servants and the beast rebuild the castle. Or she could even fix a broken furniture, saving a human being in the process. That would make her more heroic, and with that, the beast would start to see how amazing she is. I also find it odd when they try to make her brave and aggressive by showing her trying to escape the castle. Many people say the original Belle was old-fashioned because she accepted being someone's prisoner and kept her word. But I find it compelling. It shows how she is honest and truthful, but at the same time she is not stupid. When the beast screams at her, she is no longer willing to stay there and she tries to go home. So why did they add these things? As I said, it doesn't change the character whatsoever. They only try to throw at your face how strong and independent she is. Then, in the animated film, the beast is a douchebag at the beginning, but you see how he has some redeeming qualities and that he is in pain. In the new version, he is anything like that. He isn't the one who offers her a room, and he judges her father for being a thief. They kind of try to make it a lesson, but it isn't developed enough to make it register with audiences. I don't know, I won't spend too much time on this because it is the same problem all over again, but what I liked was when they added some new interactions between the two of them talking about books. That was really nice. I would have paid more attention to the little moments that make the Beast so relatable while adding new things instead of losing one for the other. And don't even get me started with the teleporting book. It was a lazy plot device used to make some exposition about Belle's past that only creates plot holes. The Beast mentions that it was a cruel gift by the Enchantress because he couldn't go anywhere where a beast isn't feared. But why doesn't he just go in the middle of a forest or a jungle? There are many places where you won't be seen, so don't tell me you can't go anywhere. Then, when Belle goes to save her father, why doesn't she use it? To be honest, I would have just cut this thing out of the movie. As to Gaston, I like what Luke Evans did with the role. I thought he delivered his lines very well and he was very charismatic, just like Gaston is supposed to be. However, even though I appreciate they tried to make him a darker villain, I thought he wasn't as fun a character as the original one. On the other hand, I liked the idea of giving LeFou a character arc, making him part ways from Gaston after he realizes how unhealthy the relationship is. However, what I really didn't like was Disney promoting him as their first openly gay character and then not delivering. You don't have to create an LGBT character if you don't want to, it's okay, but if you say you're going to do it, you better deliver. To be honest, I would have also cut this out of the movie, especially because it becomes more of a comedic gag instead of a meaningful representation. It almost seems like it is his only character trait, which isn't good at all. If you want to do it well, you don't have to think about your character as someone who is gay. First of all, you worry about creating a complex and compelling character that connects with audiences and has a distinct personality, and then you define his sexuality. I really don't like the idea of writers solely defining a character by their sexuality. Regarding the secondary characters, they are alright, I guess. It is more of a celebrity reunion than a legitimate cast. They are all good actors in their own right, but I don't think the director of the film called them because he felt they were the right choice to portray those characters. But then, you have Audra McDonald and you don't give her a song? That's ridiculous. Again, sometimes they try to be loyal to the animated film when it would work much better if they took some liberties and changed some stuff. Why did Emma Thompson sing Beauty and the Beast? Why not have Audra McDonald's character to sing it? In conclusion, the live-action version of Beauty and the Beast is a blatant cash grab that doesn't understand why the animated classic is so iconic and beloved by everyone until this date. It tries to change some things and add new elements, but the director shied away from creating something meaningful with its own creative voice. As a result, this movie is already being forgotten by audiences, while the animated one will stand the test of time.